What would you do with 5 pounds of cherry tomatoes? I like to take things that I find on clearance, or I often use an app called Flash Food where grocery stores will take things that are overstock or that are like being discontinued, something like that. And they put them on a deep discount. You buy it online, you pick it up in the store. I did that with a veggie box and got 5 pounds of cherry tomatoes. Now I need to figure out what I can do with 5 pounds of cherry tomatoes that doesn't feel like we're eating just random stuff. We need to make this feel deliberate. We need to make it feel delicious. And I think the best way to do that is going to be a sauce. Everybody loves tomato sauce. My son will, he will go nuts for a good marinara. So that's what we're going to do. And you absolutely can't do marinara sauce without onion. And of course, garlic. Yes, it is garlic in a jar. I understand. Do I know that you can get fresh garlic? Do I know that fresh garlic is cheap? Yes, I do know that. This garlic was also cheap. It was on clearance. I will use fresh garlic if it's what I have. If this is what I have, this is what I use. Use what you've got. That's the whole point of cooking without waste. Using the things that we have, using the things that are on hand, and not shaming people for decisions they make about what they're using. Now you may say, but Lori, where is all of this going? We don't see you putting it in a pan. We don't see you sauteing anything. What is going on? What's going on is my Instant Pot. I love my Instant Pot. If you are doing things with clearance ingredients, with tougher cuts of meat, with a lot of unexpected vegetables, an Instant Pot can be your best friend. It is great for breaking stuff down. It is great for doing things that might otherwise take a long time very quickly. That's right in the name. But it's also good for saving steps in other ways and making things possible at times that maybe would be inconvenient otherwise. For instance, if I was making this in the summer, and I'm going to have a lot of vegetables that are going to be coming across my table in the summer. I'm going to have zucchinis, I'm going to have tomatoes, I'm going to have all kinds of abundant summer vegetables. I'm not going to want to cook a lot of that in the oven. I'm not going to want to do slow roasting. I'm not going to want to do long hot things on the stove, because the longer I'm doing that on my stove, the more I have to have my air conditioner on. That's not saving anybody anything. If I do it in my Instant Pot, I am taking all of that heat and I am keeping it in one place. I am making it really efficient, and I am making it more fuel efficient, more cost efficient for my house. It's not just about my time, it's about the time of the other appliances that are going on. Okay, now it's time for seasoning. Olive oil is about flavor, not just about the fat content or about sauteing something. It brings its own flavor to the party. I don't have any wine in the house today, and so I still need those like kind of acidic compounds. They're going to help break down the tomatoes. They're actually going to help release lycopene. They're chemicals that are really beneficial, and they only come from cooked tomatoes, and you get more of them if you've got alcohol compounds. And so vinegar is a good stand-in for wine. Also, if you come from, well, I married into an incredibly Italian family, and there are natural discussions that come up about whether you should put sugar in your sauce or not. I am a sugar person. My husband was not a sugar person. My son will eat it either way. But if I use balsamic vinegar, I don't need the sugar because balsamic has a lot of natural sweetness. Kosher salt. Kosher salt is the best salt for cooking. Can't go wrong with a big handful of black pepper. Basil. Yes, it's dried basil. It is not fresh basil. I have some fresh basil, but I actually want to use this up. Also, I like to use dried spices when I'm using the Instant Pot because they bloom better, and when you add fresh herbs in the Instant Pot, they can get kind of like, they can blacken, they can get a little weird textured in a way that, kind of like slimy, like spinach, if you cook spinach too long. They're great to add for finishing, but if I'm going to be cooking, I'm going to use dried spices. Italian seasoning. Does it include basil? Yes, it does. However, it's also bringing oregano and thyme and I think marjoram to the party. You get a better blend of different things going on. It's just about more depth. Crushed red pepper, because my son loves hot. He wants his food to be nice and spicy. He will add more on top of this, but this will give it a little zing throughout the whole thing. It'll give it that slow burn that goes all the way through it. White pepper will give it a little bit of that depth too. I like white pepper because it gives like a heat at the end, where black pepper can be like a top note that you find right off the bat when you're eating something. White pepper is kind of the what's that you get at the end. Water. You got to have liquid when you're cooking in an Instant Pot. I don't need a lot. The tomatoes are going to give a lot of water on their own, so are the onions. This is going to be a very juicy, very saucy sauce, but we need a little water up front to create the steam that is going to help us achieve that. Do I need meat? I might decide to add meat later, but to start this off, we're going to go meatless. There it is. And here we go. I am going to set it for stew, but I'm going to bump it up to 40 minutes from 35. And we might go longer than that. We're going to check the tomatoes. We're going to see how it's going. We might mash them and decide to cook it for a little more. Let's see. Okay, let's take a look. Does it look like marinara? It does not, but we're not done. Let's blend. Much better. But we're not done. Now we're going to put it back into the Instant Pot. Well, we did put it back into the Instant Pot, but we're going to put it on saute and let it evaporate a little. Cook off some of the water that's in there because, like I said, we had a lot of moisture from the tomatoes. Okay, now we are thickened up. We are getting to a thicker, more sauce-like texture instead of something so brothy. Now, what are we going to have this with? For many people, it is pasta. It might be sausage. It might be even like use it as part of a lasagna. The first iteration of a sauce in our house is always sauce bread, marinara and Italian bread. Quite a bit left because 5 pounds of tomatoes. We're gonna have a lot left. Now we're gonna worry about meat, and that'll be the next video. That's when marinara turns into bolognese.